What is up, my dude? So I got another training other people's video, and this one's really interesting right here because this is the first actual race that anyone sent me before. So I got Dawson Sleeper here. He was saying in his email that that I was saying it was kind of hard to analyze sometimes. So he was wanting to go in there and actually send me a race. I'm pretty sure this is Daytona AM 450 race right here. So yeah, this will be interesting, kind of analyzing something like this, because I'm going to be able to actually give him racing techniques, and which is a lot different than just standard like riding techniques in the game. It's a totally different animal. So yeah, let's see. So I don't know if did they have a road on in AMs? Did they have that or not? Because I know just watching this back in a replay, it's not going to show it, so that could be a little confusing. I don't even know if they ran it in amateurs. I'm not sure if they did that or not, but either way, basically, oh my God, gotta love those moments, bro. Basically, in his email, he said he's not very good at cornering, and he knows that in certain sections he wasn't hitting as fast, but he just wanted kind of some overall help. That was just a general sum up of his email there. And I do apologize, by the way, guys, for not getting to some of these training other people's video. I'm going to get back into it. The reason why I made this video is because I was in a random Supercross server on MXM, and some dude was like, hey, when are you going to make another one of those, motherfucker? And I was like, oh shit. Sorry about that, dog. I forgot about those a little bit. So, yeah, I'm back in here simply because one dude told me to make these videos, so don't ever think I won't, like, you know, listen to you, because I will. But either way, so yeah, a little bit of chaotic action going on here at the beginning, as per usual with pro races, or amateur or pro races in this game. I've never actually raced an amateur race, so I don't really know the general scope of it as good as I do a pro race. But either way, he's running in, what is he running in, 5th? And there wasn't a full gate. There was like, how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's like 17 or 18 people instead of the normal 22. So that makes a massive difference. I'm telling you, dog, those extra 4 or 5 people, it clutters up the race, man, like in the starting laps and stuff. But yeah, okay, so let's actually try to pay attention to what the hell he's doing. So he's on the FC, I'm guessing 17 or 18, something like that. So, yeah, with this track in particular, there were two or three, like, pretty hardcore hooks that even I was scared to hit, and I'm not afraid to admit that. But you had to hit them in the pros, like you just had to balls up and hit it. It was like they were just easy enough to where you had to hit them consistently, but they were like right on that borderline of, like, you really didn't want to have to hit them, and if you were like kind of in the lead, you weren't gonna hit them because they were that inconsistent. But for like an amateur rider, yeah, I don't know if anybody in this was actually hitting them. I'm not sure if they were doing that or not, but he's got some pretty solid, like, just overall speed and flow going here. I mean, you can see that. He doesn't look bad at all as far as that. Just kind of got caught up in some of that early race clutter, and that's one of the biggest things, man. I mean, it's like you can be the fastest dude in the world, but if the cards don't fall in your hands at the beginning and get a bad start, or you have to, you know, go through the chaos and random people, grenades all over the place trying to take you out, there's not a whole lot you can do. Doesn't matter how fast you are, so you have to be, like, super careful in the first few laps, but also super aggressive in certain occasions, or somebody will hit your front end coming into a corner. So, you know, it's like you got to have this weird balance of super careful but also aggressive at the beginning. So that's kind of a little bit of a tricky thing. One of the huge hooks is right here. You got to hit that thing like super hard and bounce off of that one jump like perfectly. It's really difficult. Let's see. Just trying to kind of look at his overall technique. Obviously messing up a little there. Just, you know, the standard kind of a little bit more on the inconsistent side, even though he is hitting quite a few of the lines. He's can't really put together even one really hardcore full lap here. So he's got that first gear on the whoops action going on. You guys know I've never really been that kind of guy. I'm like 5th gear tapped in the whoops, but everybody has different gearing, so it's all relative there. But let's see. Trying to kind of look at, certainly hope the road wasn't on, because that'll make that really weird. But so he's hitting the outside right there. that's probably one of those places I wouldn't have went all the way outside. I would have tried to, I'm pretty sure on that, yeah, there's one of them big hugs, baby. See, he's right there at that skill level where it's like, if he could hit the bigger lines, he'd smoke everybody, but he can't exactly hit them consistently because he's not quite to that skill level, so that's a really weird, I remember that spot that I was in at one point in time on MX Sim where it's like, you're almost to the point where you can basically hit any rhythm anywhere, but you're not quite there. So it's like you're fast, but you can't hit everything right. You know, you're just like right under that level of being able to hit everything. But man, once you can figure that out, it's that really fast, this track in particular, it's that really fast being able to pop off of a jump, but you got to have like super momentum going into it for it to ever even get you over the next jump, but you got to be able to control the bike when it smacks into the face of something. And I mean, the only way to even tell you how to do that is like, you just got to smack up against a lot of crap and get the experience of doing it a lot. That's really the only way to learn how to do it. I can't tell you the amount of crazy, like, you know, smack up a jump moments I've had on custom tracks and all that, and that's what's taught me a lot of the being able to ride on really weird jump rhythms and stuff like that. You'd be surprised, but a lot of times when you ride on custom tracks that have like bizarre built crap, it prepares you for pretty much anything out there. So you get really good at every kind of rhythm, jump, peak, everything that you could possibly run into. So yeah, kind of lost his pace a little right there. Let's see. So he's jumping up over that and then triple to here. Yeah, and then you got that quad. He didn't hit it right there, but I saw him hit it before. Yo, dog, just skip that wall. Yeah, there you go. So let's see. Yeah, his... I don't know. I'm trying to just analyze. If I keep talking, it's kind of hard to analyze it at the same time. Obviously, he's probably riding a little bit over his head. Like, you can just kind of tell. I mean... I don't really have to be the one to even say that. I mean, Exhibit 5000, like Exhibit Z here, like you can tell it's, but he's solid on the whoops though. I would say he's probably going like a couple ticks under speed-wise on the whoops. Like he gets on the whoops good, but he never really like picks up speed on the whoops. He kind of keeps this steady, just very, very steady speed over it. So eventually you got to get to the point where you're speeding up the entire time you're on a whoop or a roller section all the way to the end of it, instead of just like getting up on top of it and just riding it out. That's one big change from like going from like that amateur speed level to pro level in whoops in particular and stuff like that, and also rollers, is you learn how to just, like, you start at a certain speed and then you're ending at like Mach 10 in that motherfucker by the time you get to the end of the whoops, versus like whereas somebody that doesn't really feel comfortable on whoops, they feel good just getting on top of them, just being able to get through them without even speeding up. But you got to get to that certain ballsy point where you can actually really, really gas it on them. And like I said, the only way to do that is you just got to do it a lot. I mean, that's really, you'd be surprised how many times I've wrecked on whoops and sat there. Like, my gosh, the amount of hours. Like, no joke, I probably have more hours in the amount of time I've wrecked on whoops and had to sit there picking my bike up than a lot of you guys have in the game total. Like, legit, not even joking around. Like, the amount of time you spend on that. Oh, man, that's unfortunate. That happens a lot in pro racing and stuff. You get up from a crash and somebody else or someone else gets up from a crash and you just happen to barely hit them with your front wheel and it'll take you out real quick. Got to be, the only way that gets you better at that is racing. Like what I noticed is doing, oh, dude's had a little collision moment, bro. One thing you'll notice helping you with that is doing a lot of online racing with a ton of people. Like getting on there. It's hard to find it now, but you used to be able to do that a lot back in the, oh, damn. Getting a little Barsha action going on. But how I learned how to avoid getting my front wheel chopped off and being able to collide with people without falling down, doing all that, was the just absolute insanity amount of hours I spent racing other people on random online servers with, like, you know, 16, 17, 18, 20 people, full gated people. Trust me, dog, you just learn how to ride around other people better when you race that much with other people. Like, if you just get on there and race with 2 or 3 dudes, you're not going to have the same effect, because you might only, like, get into those close quarter collision moments, like, maybe once or twice in the race, at the start, and stuff like that. But when you're racing with a lot of people, especially like having to get through lappers and, you know, and also just racing other people, when you got a lot on the gate, that's what really helps you with that racing with other people and feeling comfortable, gassing it wide open, quadding over people, quadding right beside somebody, running into somebody, having them run into you and not fall down, that whole kind of vibe right there. So either way, I mean, as far as your line selection, it's not terrible. Like, it's definitely nothing that I'm like sitting here going, oh man, you suck or whatever. It's just that that essence of racing, you know, like you look just fine as far as speed and all that for an amateur. You look just fine. I just think it's more of a, you got to get the full picture together. You got to get that full like racecraft more in tune, you know, being able to like totally chill out your skill level, totally chill out your speed level to try to get better position, then pick up the pace when you can. You know, that kind of thing, and not getting in too much of a rush and that type of random stuff. Yeah, you might be losing a little bit, not hooking that one of those walls right there, and obviously you're losing a little right here, not bouncing that over to quad that, but that's a super hard line. So, I mean, I can't really blame you for not hitting that. Let's see. But you're getting this triple right here, jumping deep into those little moguls or whatever those are. Yeah, you're lacking just a little bit in your like corner entry exit speed. I obviously can notice that, and you mentioned that in your email. You know, that'll cost you a lot just in that in general. Even if you're hitting all the rhythms right, you guys know Supercross, a lot of where it separates you, especially once you get to the pro levels, is the corner speed and keeping it fluid and being able to really go in there and hot and spin it around and carry all your momentum. That's a big aspect to it, and that's one of the hardest aspects to learn at the game, frankly, is the, you know, it's pretty, weirdly enough, it's actually almost easier to hit the harder stuff than it is to do the simple, like, because that's where the men get separated from the boys in being able to, like, hit corners fast and hit bizarre lines fast and not have weird pop-off moments like that and all that kind of stuff. Being able to hit random wall hooks, right, kind of gets into that. So you're about to get lapped right here by the dude in the lead. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, man. Racing's tough. Racing is another level of skill, without a doubt. The only way to get better at racing is racing. I mean, and you sent me this email a little while back, like maybe, I don't know, a month or two back, so I'm sure you're probably quite a bit better now and stuff like that. But yeah, man, you're just still having a couple little mistakes here and there. If you can clean that up, you'll notice a massive difference. If you can clean up your start, like first few laps, that's where it makes the biggest difference. Your first couple laps is what determines pretty much your entire race. And it's still that way in the pro racing too. It will make a, you know, you could be horrible, get a good start, and you'll do okay. Or you could be amazing, get a bad start, and you're probably going to do shitty. So it's kind of a, man, it's just the start is everything. And not just the start, but the first few laps. You know, it's not just that first corner, it's when it's super chaotic for everybody. That's when you separate, because if you don't get good out of that, then you got to worry about everybody else. Then you got to try to pass people. Then you got all the, you know, MX Simulator crazy collision, all that crap you got to deal with. So it makes it a world of difference getting a decent start. So I would try to focus your attention more on your racecraft, and you're trying to figure out, like, how to do that more so than your, like, quote-unquote speed element at your current point. Because your speed is okay. It's not terrible. Like, you obviously know what the hell you're doing. But you just got to know when to turn that switch on and off, get a little better at doing that. That'll help you a lot. Being able to, you know, kind of do, like, see right there, you just don't really have a consistent line on that, crashing on it 2 laps in a row like that. You know, you got to really get a line drilled in your mind on certain sections and really know what you're doing, and realize the certain sections that you can't hit quite as fast as other sections. Kind of, you got to know your skill level and try not to go too far above it unless it's like a certain instance where you have to, or sometimes you got to go under your limit. to not wreck on something, or certain, you got to almost swallow your pride sometimes to win races. There's a multitude of times where, like, I have to give up getting the quote-unquote fastest lap, right? Everyone freaks out about getting a fast lap. I swear to God, most people want a fast lap more than they do winning the actual race, but no one gives a fuck about a fast lap, man. It's who wins the race. That's what matters. So you have to always remember that. Like, ain't nobody matters what line you hit. Ain't nobody cares what your lap time was this lap or how crazy you did this one thing. It matters your finish. That's what matters. So if you have to go slow around a certain section, or you get a little gnarly and the back wheel starts coming out on you, or you get a little nervous and you got to calm your riding back down and breathe a little for a couple laps, sometimes you just got to do that. And that helps you with your overall finish, that way. So that's the way you got to look at it, versus like, oh, I can't slow down. I got to go faster. There's nothing worth crashing over. Like, crashing is literally the worst thing you can do in real life and MX Simulator. The amount of time you'll lose crashing is tenfold compared to having to slow down your pace a little bit for a short amount of time or whatever. That's way better than crashing. So, in learning how to kind of tiptoe in your Jordans on the first couple laps, but be aggressive at the same time, like I was saying, kind of having that, you almost got to have a different mindset for the first couple laps of a race than you do the rest of the race. It's kind of weird, but that's the way it is. You almost ride differently those first few laps because they're so damn hectic. So you got to be like really, really, really on your game. But also, like, once you kind of get out of that first frenzy, that's when you can kind of calm down and breathe a little. You start off kind of wild and crazy and like trying to avoid people and stuff. Trying to go fast, not having people cut up underneath you the first few laps because everybody's right on everybody's ass bumper, right? But after you kind of break away from all those people, then you can chill out a little bit. If you get out of there scar-free, you can kind of breathe because they're not going to be right on you because all of them crashed because they were too wild the first couple laps. So, and then it gets to the point where you build such a lead that people just can't catch back up to you, no matter how fast they are. That's how you win races. That's something I've learned just in the racing the online races, random online races. Like, if you'll get a good start and just start building that gap a little bit, it ruins their soul, dude. It ruins all of their motivation. Like, if you're at like a, 10, 15, 20-second lead on somebody, like the first 2 or 3 laps in, it's hard for them dudes to ever catch back up because they know, and especially if they know they're racing against somebody that's super consistent, like a lot of times I race really consistent on online races, people know that I'm probably not going to crash at all the entire race, regardless of how fast I go. It doesn't really matter. A lot of people know I'm probably not going to crash. I'm not saying that in a cocky way. I'm just saying I'm more of like a consistency riding kind of dude, and so if I've already got a 20-second lead on them, they're going to have to be James Stewart and a half to catch me and be as consistent as me, which is damn near impossible. You see what I'm saying? So it's like they have no way to beat you if you can build that early lead on somebody and you're a consistent rider. So that's a really good racing tip right there, man. And you can actually play with their minds a little bit. It's almost like poker in a sense, racing in this game. Really weird, but it's like, you'll notice if you ever let a guy get right up behind you or you crash and he gets right up on you, it's like it gives him a jolt of motivation. It's like you'll notice all of a sudden he's going way faster than his normal speed, but if you have a 20-second lead on somebody, he ain't ever going to catch you because he ain't got no motivation to catch you. He thinks he's just going to lose. He thinks there's no way to catch you, but if you ever let him get right on your tail end, then now it's a fucking race. Now you got to deal with this guy because now he's all amped up thinking he can beat you. But you got to remember, if you can get your lead on somebody, they can't even see you. So it's a totally different animal. So there's so much importance on getting a gap on somebody, man, when it comes to racing. But that's just some random racing tips for you, dude. Hope it helped you out a little bit. And yeah, man, it's definitely cool seeing people send me in different stuff for, amateur riders, racing stuff. I love to go in here and do this and help you guys out. It's one of my favorite things to do, man. I'm not a like, there's a lot of people in the MX Sim community that are they act like they know everything about the game, but don't want to tell anybody, and they try to keep all of their secrets to themselves, and I try to tell you this stuff that most people just wouldn't tell you. Most people won't tell you, like, oh, if you have a worn out controller, you're going to ride like crap, or, oh, all these other, like, oh, you can actually get thumb pump in a you know, MX Simulator and a long moto. Also the random, you know, racing tips. They're all like, oh, you didn't get this lap time? Oh, well, fuck you, dude. You're too slow. You know, bullshit like that. It's like, and I'm sitting here telling you, hey, no one cares about your lap time. If you're winning a race, you won the race. Like, oh, I scratch my head at the amount of people that they care more about the lap time than the fucking finish of the race, and it's so pitiful. But I'm telling you, man, if you want to win races, sometimes you gotta man up and swallow the pride and just get a slower lap time, that one lap or whatever, or ease off the throttle a little bit, or you know, you might have a little bit of a gap on somebody, and what's the sense in hitting that huge line if he's not catching you anyways? There's no sense in it. Like, you know, don't ride harder than you have to win the race, basically is what I'm getting at here. So, yeah, you're still a little off on those. And, like, a Daytona track like this has a shitload of bizarre jumps. There's no telling what you'll get on a Daytona track. So, it's you just about have to have this, like, super skill in the game to really be able to ride on a Daytona, because it's like nothing else. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. So as far as the lines, like, I can't really blame you for not hitting certain stuff and crashing on stuff. That's really just Daytona. The only way you're going to get better at that is riding on random weird, like, trail tracks might help you on that. You know, racing on some trail tracks where it's got, like, random bizarre jump designs and stuff, weird kickered out crap might help you on that, or riding on, like, more unrealistic style tracks in the game that have huge, weird kickered jumps, super phase jumps, so that when you get on something like this and you hit a wall, it doesn't feel like a wall, it just feels like a jump, you know. So that's how you kind of get really good at hitting that crazy stuff, is you're able, in, like, super long whoop sections like that, if you'll go on a custom track that has a, you know, 300-foot whoop section, that whoop section is going to feel like nothing. It's going to feel like it's not long at all. So you can kind of gain skill like that as well. But either way, don't forget, guys, you can always send in your clips for me to go in there and train you on. I still have quite a few people in line right now, but you guys can always send me some, and I'll eventually be able to go in there and make a training episode on you. So my email is just in the description below. But either way, man, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, my dude.